So that is the beginning of the first 24-footer. All of them up until now have been the 15-foot model. And I scaled it up. A friend of mine decided he wanted one and wants it pretty much all open. He does kelp farming and oysters and wants, I think, a mast and boom, and he was talking a console all the way to the back corner, but now I think he wants a like a front cabin, kinda, somewhat like what the Coast Guard boats do. We'll see. We got to get to that point first, but it's like twice as much work to build a cabin, but you know, I mean, it's super nice to have them. So shop's a bit of a mess right now. Aluminum crap everywhere. I need to find a better spot for that lathe. I've got the big one over there in the mill. They're pretty much out of the way, but this one is right in the freaking way. But it's a good backup machine, which I use a lot, because right now, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a cannon in that one for a friend of mine. I'm making it for him. Piece of 3-inch bronze. Would be pretty badass. Anyways, more to come. She's getting there. Just getting the buck installed. Oh. So that gets screwed about every 10 inches all the way around until the bend stops, basically, in the sides. I still have to cut out the front piece, and that gives the hull structure enough so that I can put pieces of wood, kind of like that, like that right there, so that I have something to bend the pipes to for the rail all the way around. And I basically center the pipe, maybe favor outboard side just a little bit for the rail. And then it's going to get another piece of tubing about 10 inches in. And then that gets capped with plate, and that gives you like a washboard basically to put stuff on. And he wants to haul out of this some, and he does kelp farming, I think, and oysters and stuff, so he's going to be bringing stuff up over the rail, and need a place to put something. I think we're going to do a cabin up front, kind of like maybe 5 feet wide, give you enough room to walk up around and get up onto the bow, but we'll see. I'm gonna start videoing a lot more and kind of splice them all together into one longer video. So that's it for now, though. Bring you back when I got a little more done. Just started putting the rails on it. Getting there. Gotta put a slug in and add a piece, because the pipe comes in 20-foot sections. It's a 24-foot boat, so gotta add a chunk to it, which is no big deal. That is how I center it on top of the side of the boat. So it basically, the clamp just kind of tightens it up a little bit, Gets a good fit on the side of the boat, kind of pinches it in, but it is a piece that's screwed together in that way. As long as this stays in line with this, like it is, that means that the rail is centered on top of the boat all the way down. Just got some rope going across to the one of the supports for the crane to kind of help hold it in. I will probably, let's see, I'll probably get this piece extended, and before I do any more welding, I will probably put the other side on and get it back so that it's welded like this is to right here. It helps keep the boat symmetrical and not be pulled one side or the other. But yeah, it's starting to look like a real boat, which is awesome. That's always fun. It's got some nice lines too. It's kind of hard to see on the camera, but I love this hull. I guess a little biased, I designed it. But yeah, some holes to fill in to plug the spots where I put big pieces on the inside and pieces of threaded rod, and I can get the bow folded up so that it's about here, and then it's really hard to get that last bit of twist into it. So I use some threaded rod and some plates and use it to pull it in and curl it around and get it pretty friggin' close. Some reason the way that this all came out, it happened on every single boat, and you'd think I would change the design of the pattern just a little bit, but it always wants to overlap here. See how it pops out? It's like nice and even with it, and then it gets up here, and it's like almost, well, it's about 1/8 of an inch on this one. Some of them are a little more than others, but I think if I changed the line on this a little bit, it might help, but it's really hard to judge how much to cut off to get it right without going too far and costing, you know, a bunch of money in a sheet or whatever. But I don't know, maybe I'm gonna build a boat for me after this one's done, and maybe on that one I will change the design just a little bit on just my sheets, and if I can get it to come together the way that it's supposed to with that, then I'll change the patterns completely so that the rest of them come out like that. But yeah, kind of a pain in the ass, but what isn't these days, building boats especially. This is a decent view of the boat from up top. Oh, and that's my son. That's Finley. Hi, buddy. Can you say hi?
What's that?
I'm just making a video. No?
Hi. Dad, can I come up?
Yeah, just a minute.
I want to go up right now.
You think so? I can see up your nose. You're a goob. A goober. Oh, little project. I want a suspension system for my aluminum push-pull gun because it weighs so much. I'm sick of dragging it around. Sick of it being on the floor. Sick of tripping over it. So I am going to mount to that pole a system like that. Same thing as that light, basically. Those are the plates. I basically copied what was there. It's pretty simple. I have some springs from the garage door. Wish I had some more. This is a piece of 6061 extrusion. It's 2.5-inch round bar. There was another score from the paper mill. Good stuff. I think I paid $25 for $30, something like that, $35 for that price stick. The guy was basically just giving shit away. He bought the whole lot. They were whole steel and stainless and aluminum wrap. I think he paid $5 grand for it, and he said he would quadruple his money at least on just the stainless, and that it was going to be more money than it was worth to ship anything of the other stuff back. So I mean, he gave me a bunch of stuff, basically whatever I could carry out of there. It was. I wish I had brought more money. I should have gone to the bank and taken out more money. But anyways, yeah. So these are going to be. I'm going to cut 8 of these when they get machined down, and the reason why I'm going so big with them is so that they're like a friction surface. So they'll get pinched in between those plates, and then that square tube gets welded to it, probably with a couple of braces to stiffen it. Bolt goes through. I'm going to make a mechanism eventually with, like, I don't know if I'm going to do pulls with rods or like cobalt control cables from a boat type thing, or chain. Just getting the top rails, washboards squared away. Trunk is going to start just about where my helmet is, 6 inches behind that last cross member. And then that triangular plate up there gets doubled with another one that might end up actually being 3/8 thick. We'll see. Depends on how much I have left from those slots. Are going to be a 2-foot outboard bracket / extension. So the pieces come through 2 feet inside the boat, and they make up the first 2 feet of the longitudinal stringers, and it all gets tied together, which makes them super duper strong. But anyways, I'll probably wait to double that piece up front until I get everything else on there, and I haven't ordered the 3/8 yet. I gotta get another check from the guy I'm building this for, but as soon as I get the 3/8, I should have enough left over after building that extension to put a piece up there for where the bow bit goes. But she's looking pretty good. You know, we'll see. This is gonna have a West Coast style cabin with the windshield tilted forward a little bit. Pretty big visor that's about 6 inches tall, gives you another 6 inches of headroom without making the windshield look like it's way out of proportion. She's going to be rigged right up in the eyes, as they say, which means, you know, the cabin is going to be right there, just about what the middle of the screen is going to be. So the trunk is going to start right here. There'll be 10-inch wide washboard, comes back, stops right there. That'll be the main bulkhead. The steering wheel and, you know, throttle and all that stuff's on. And then the windshield. The windshield will be right about here, angled forward a little bit, and then there'll be a big tall visor. Comes back. I'm not sure where we're going to stop the back of the house. The customer's supposed to be coming down this week sometime, so when he gets here, we're going to talk about what he wants. I think he wants just enough room inside the cabin to basically be able to walk like behind someone when they're steering, you know, to be able to get to the other side of the boat. So not very big. What I'm thinking is, like, from the bottom of the windshield back, probably 4 feet. We'll see. It's all up to him. But yeah, figured I'd do a little update on the boat build. This is no, this is one of my 15-foot models, just scaled up and lengthened. So we scaled it 1.6% to get it to 8 feet wide, which was the request of the customer, and then that brought it up to 21 feet long. So I added 3 feet to the stern, which is really easy with this style boat. You just, kind of lengthen the lines out. And then he wants, even again, an outboard bracket on the very back of it to bring the outboard back far enough, and a swim platform on each side. So, be a nice boat when it's done. He does kelp harvest and oysters and stuff like that, so he might haul a few pots in it, but we'll see. Lobster traps are pots for the people that don't know. Yeah. Should be a nice build. I'm going to do the deck pretty high, higher than I normally would. Well, you can see the deck line right there. At the top of those slots in the stern, there's 2 lines. The top line is the top of the deck. So let's see, the front part of the deck will probably be about yay tall. But anyways, it kind of makes the washboards feel a little low. They'll be right around your knees, maybe just above your knees, which is okay, but he wants the capacity without putting the scuppers under. So this obviously will have a self-bailing deck. We'll probably do, I don't know, screw-in scuppers so that if he really, really wants to load this thing and has the possibility of putting the deck under, that we can just, or he can just screw in a set of scupper plugs and loader hay racker and be good. But this hull, man, the more weight you put in it, the better it is. And I know that's how it is with a lot of boats, but these things, they just turn into rock solid vessels when you put a bunch of weight in them. So I'm really interested to see how this is going to be with the full cabin and the stern extension. And I'm guessing that it's going to be a little nose heavy, even with the outboard bracket and stuff, because he only got a 150 Yamaha for it. So, maybe he'll have to put a bigger outboard on it someday. He said he wouldn't be, he wouldn't object to that, but he got a good deal on that one. So, but anyways, so I am going to angle the deck more than I usually do by 2 inches over what will be the full 12 feet of the deck. Well, 12 feet plus. It'll be 12 feet from the back of the cabin. You'll basically end up with, if you go from the inside of the rails, you'll end up with, about 6.5, 7 foot of deck space. That's 12 foot, rectangle. So like, the outside of the rails is just over 8 feet. It's like 8'3". And the rails are 10 inches wide. So you'll have a pretty good sized deck. And the deck gets done with this. Yeah, close your eyes. This is my storage up on top of the mezzanine. That's, it's just aluminum diamond plate. That's what the deck is made out of. Anyways, and there's the dozer. I got a wicked long video of that I need to post. Just our internet's been screwed up. I guess internet in Maine, period, has been screwed up. But yeah, got the roll cage squared away and a bunch of paint work done. It's pretty much done. I got a few more things I need to paint. I need to paint the gauge area. I need to paint those pistons. I need to deal with the muffler and the air intake. And then, yeah, it's done. It can go outside and be used. We're going to wait and do the tracks and stuff next year. We're going to add some 1 inch by 1/2 inch pieces to build the tracks back up so that she's got more grip. Because the chains are in good shape and none of the pads are bent. I mean, it's still got like 3/4 of an inch of cleat on it, but that's just not enough. So, yeah, roll cage came out great though. It's all Schedule 80, 2.5 inch. Another view of it. Oh, I might as well go downstairs, and that way you can see the shear. I don't usually do many videos of the boat builds because I get kind of caught up in them, and I don't really have enough time to be making videos constantly of them. But they're a wicked pretty hull. I love the lines on these. My original version of this, the original fiberglass mold that I still have, in the back, the rails, it tucked in and gave it a real hourglass shape, and they look so pretty. But it was funny, either you really liked it or you didn't like it. You know, some people just loved it like I did. That's why I did it like that when I designed the boat. And then other people were like, oh, why'd you do that? It's terrible, blah, blah. All you're doing is wasting deck space. Well, sometimes looks, you know, it's about looks too. But with these, where it's a workboat, I just left it straight. You know, it's strong, and they still look really nice. So, anyways, just an update. This is a quick video of the new boat I'm building. I guess I'm gonna call it the Madman Marine 24A. Yeah, she's coming out pretty nice. This will have a 1.5 inch hard chine angle iron on it, and I haven't decided if I'm gonna do 1.5 inch or the 3 inch for the keel piece. Probably the 1.5 inch, because I think the 3 inch would just flatten right out when I tried to bend it to it, so we'll see. Oh, let's see, I got the rails started. They're not, you know, fully welded, because I don't do that until the washboard tops are welded on so that it holds the shape that it needs to be. But once I do that, once the top's tacked in place, I can take the screws out and slide the plywood buck out of there the rest of the way. I've already taken part of it out, but I don't want to take the rest out until I get the foredeck, you know, tacked down. And then I can come in and finish the rest of the welds on that. But the rail base is pretty well done. Longitudinals are heavily tacked in. That's the pocket that the fuel tank's going to be in. And then these, I'll probably, yeah, I'm going to continue this bulkhead and that bulkhead all the way out to the edges. And then I'll probably do the same thing on the other two. That gives it a full width bulkhead every 4 feet, and then up front there will be a full one continuous sheet across with a 2 foot, whatever the height ends up being. I think it's like 32 inches doorway, and then, you know, over there'll be a pot hauler and your steering station and what have you. It's getting a West Coast style cabin, windshield forward like a Novi boat, with a fat brow that comes out that's angled down like the face of the trunk will be. And probably a winter back. And then in the stern, those slots are for some 3/8 plate that sticks out 2 feet and then goes in 2 feet and tapers into the longitudinals. Okay. And that is for an outboard bracket. He has a 150 for it. I don't think it's big enough, but it'll work. He's probably going to want to go bigger, and we might have to put a little bit of weight in the stern until he does put a bigger outboard on it, because now, you know, he wants a full cabin, and he's, you know, wants as much deck space as we can possibly get, so he wants it pushed way far forward, more forward than I normally would do on a boat this size. And then, you know, if we got to put some weight on it to compensate, then it is what it is. When he upgrades from the 150 Yamaha up to, you know, a 250 or whatever, then it'll be fine and be able to take the weight out. But so yeah, that bracket's going to come back 2 feet. Outboard will be on that, and then there'll be a swim platform on each side of it. I'll probably do some gussets that run up to the top rail to tie it all in. I think that'll stiffen it up a lot, and it'll stiffen the stern plate up. This is all 1/4 inch. So the top sides, this is 1/8. The deck is 1/8 diamond plate, and the house is all going to be 1/8, just to try to cut the weight down so it doesn't weigh a bazillion pounds. And 1/8 is plenty strong because there's a deck stringer, a 3-inch by 3-inch piece of angle, same stuff that's there, every foot. So there's only 9 inches unsupported of deck, and I might even come in there and weld 8-inch strips, not fully weld, but like tack them in like that so it doesn't distort the deck. But in between each one in a few spots, just to, well, we'll see. I'm gonna tack a sheet down and see how it feels. I think it will be fine. I've done it like that thick on other sheets or other boats with flat sheets, and diamond plate where it's got a, you know, as little as it is, it's stronger than a regular 1/8 inch sheet because it's got that extra material. But it should be fine. You know, every foot having a 3-inch by 3-inch angle, it's going to be a very strong deck. He does want a mast and boom on the back of the house, so wherever that mounts, we'll probably put a piece of the leftover 3/8 from the stern extension. We'll make a big base plate for it, and yada yada. But yeah, she's coming along nice. The owner's coming down to check it out in a couple of days, and yeah, I'll do another video probably. Oh, I don't know, when I get the deck in it or something. You know, this is my day job, so I don't really try to take the time to do this, you know, video it, because it just cuts into my day too much. So it's today's Sunday, so I figured screw it, I'm getting ready to go home. It's dark out, as you can see, so I figured I'd pop a little video of it really quick. But anyways, I'll bring you back at some point. Kind of framing out the cabin on it just to get an idea of what it's gonna look like. It's gonna have a faceted windshield, 3 facets, so 3 windows, and pretty sure it's gonna have a round visor out here that's kind of angled down. Makes the windshield look shorter than it actually is, so you still get the headroom that you need inside without having this big tall gaumy windshield that looks way out of place on a boat this size. Cabin's a little far forward, but that's what he wants. He wants the most deck space possible, so we got the cabin jacked right up in the front of it as far as I possibly could. Personally, I would like to see it at least a foot farther back, but whatever, it's not my boat, so I'll be building my boat next. Actually, I'm gonna build one of these for myself, get rid of my other 2 boats and consolidate into one, so that I don't have as much maintenance and bullshit to deal with. I think I'm gonna do a stand-up center console in mine with it a little ways forward. Won't be way far forward, but I'd like to have some deck space up front to be pulling anchors and moorings and crap like that, pushing floats around, and you know, be about the same size. This one is the 21, it's the 15 scaled up and then stretched 3 feet, so it's 24 feet by 8 feet. Mine is going to be probably 21 feet by 8 feet, because I don't really need the extra deck space like he does. But we'll see. The pieces I have for mine are 24 foot, so if I want to, I can, or well, the 25 feet, but so I can make it longer if I want. I don't know. I have a Big Yamaha outboard. If I remember right, it's a 225. I haven't looked at it in a while. But I'm kind of thinking I might do mine a inboard jet boat. I've got a really nice rebuilt jacuzzi jet pump with all the mounts and everything for a big block Chevy. And, you know, fun. It would be pretty interesting. I don't know. We'll see. Outboard seems more efficient, and it probably would be, but I don't know. We'll see. If I do the inboard jet drive, obviously the jet drive there's plenty of room under the deck. I think just the clean out would probably be sticking up, which is great. And then it's set up with a really short, like foot-long jack shaft. So that drive shaft could be lengthened out to whatever. And what I was thinking was console right up here, pretty good size one, big enough to have a big block Chevy inside. Because there's enough room in between the stringers to put one. Granted, I could move the stringers wherever I needed to in mine, but I just think it would be so cool to have the weight down low where it needs to be, out of the way, inside the console. It'd give me so much open deck space, nothing to worry about as far as that goes. I would just, instead, like this one is getting a 50-gallon fuel tank right there that I'm still yet to build. I could do side tanks on mine, or, you know, whatever. Probably just side tanks. Just because I wouldn't want to run the drive shaft through where the tank is. That's kind of a bad idea. But yeah, he's going to have a lot of deck space, that's for sure. So this side will be one continuous wall. That's part of the reason why I like framing them up like this. You know, I mean, these are one-off boats, so it's not like any one is like another. So I don't have any templates. So this is how I go about making all my templates. I put my laser transit down in the bilge, shot a line up each side so that it's, you know, like I get the boat where it is gonna sit in the water, where I think it's gonna sit in the water. And then I transit the lines up onto the sides of the hull, and then start piecing in what the bulkhead's gonna be. This is gonna be a 2-piece bulkhead. That right there is 4 foot from over here, and that's, you know, the forecastle door. We decided not to have a flip up top. It makes them a little harder to get down forward, but this really isn't going to have hardly any space down forward anyways. It's basically just storage, so he's not going to be in and out of there all the time. But yeah, so that'll be one half of the bulkhead, and then this will be the other half of the bulkhead. And then across the top, it'll get a bridge of, I don't know if I'm going to end up building it out of 1/4-inch plate, or if I'm going to just use some square tubing and run it through the tubing roller. But it needs to have a really good stiffening piece in right there, because the crown, there's 1.5 inches of crown in the top of the trunk and 1.5 inches of crown in the roof. And instead of stopping it at the windshield like I normally would and doing a flat bulkhead, it's such a short, stubby trunk that the crown doesn't get really tall by the time it gets to the back of the bulkhead. So I'm just going to run it all the way back, and the top surface of the bulkhead, your dash area, will be crowned 1.5 inches, which is good because it'll let water run off. And then, you know, anything that needs to be mounted will get mounted on a flat piece. That's easy to do. We were thinking about doing flush-mounted electronics in it, but I don't know, where he's going to have so much room because it's a reverse faceted windshield. He'll have tons of room up in here without getting into your headroom area, because, you know, the bulkhead keeps you from walking forward far enough. So we might end up putting them up there just because they'll be out of the way and away from the water and whatever. This is getting a pot hauler. He hasn't decided yet whether it's going to be, you know, like that, or he was also talking about having it sideways, like they do sometimes up in Nova Scotia. That's really popular, but it's up to him. It's It's his boat. I'll build it however he wants it. Normally I would do it just regular, you know, on the bulkhead. The back of the house, it's gonna have an angled back that is roughly the same angle as the front of the windshield, so it kind of makes them look fast. But and then the winter back is gonna be, you know, vertical. That will lay right on top of that bulkhead right there. I haven't finished the winglets on that bulkhead yet. The center's in, but so that it carries the weight of the house really well because it puts it, you know, across the whole bottom of the boat. But yeah, the winter back comes over to this corner right here, so it stops basically right on top of that longitudinal stringer, which gives you over 2 feet of space to walk, you know, past, which is plenty. And it gives you a nice little nook to get out of the weather in. The owner of this, his girlfriend, we live on an island. He actually lives on the island next to us, but his girlfriend lives on the mainland, so I imagine he's going to be using it a lot to go back and forth to pick her up and go back and forth to see her. So having a nice little spot to get out of the weather is great. And he was talking either fold down parts to box it in completely when it's cold, or maybe like some zip down canvas with a little stiffener pipe that pops in right there. We'll see. Depends on, you know, how everything works once it's built with just the winter back and stuff. If we can do some fold downs without losing too much headroom, then we'll probably do that, because it is nice to always have solid walls that fold down and clip together. It makes the boat feel very solid. But anyways, just a little update. I'm gonna, now that this is kind of locked in, sorry, where it is. Oh, I'm probably gonna take a bunch of measurements. What I do is I'll build this side first, and then basically this side will just be a chunk of this side so that they match. And I always cut them with a little extra on the bottom, and then I hang them down so that they're vertical in where I want them, and then I'll take a compass and trace the shear of the boat so that you get a nice perfect fit and it's exactly the way you want it. But yeah, well, that's what I was saying. Since I can do that now, I'll put you know, make that piece, and then I'll probably make this full bulkhead, the 2 pieces of that, and get those tacked in so that I've got something to really work off of. Then build the trunk and, you know, go from there, kind of piece it all together. I really need the roof of the trunk to be in place before I can mock up the facets of the windshield, because there's so many angles there. You know, the top of the trunk is crowned. You've got the facets basically make a crown this way. It's angled. It's a lot to figure out just kind of out in open air. So if I've got the trunk locked into what it's going to be, that's one less thing that I, you know, can get screwed up or whatever, making the facets of the windshield, which is a very tender point when you're building a boat, because it really dictates the look, how you do the windshield, how it's faceted, how it's angled, how much pinch there is on the sides, because like this right here on boats with you know, a cabin like this, they're never vertical. They look way out of place. If you do a perfectly plumb wall, when you look at the boat, the walls will look like they're tipped out. So I do 1 degree of, I guess you would call it camber. Yeah. And it helps. It makes them look really good. The problem with the Novi style windshield, like what I'm doing, West Coast style windshield, is if you continue that camber exactly, it makes the windshield look like it's tipped way in. So that would have been mitigated if we had brought the house farther back a little bit, because when you're as far forward as we are, you really get into the pinch of the hull. So if you have it back, it's you're more into the flatter part of the outside of the hull, so it doesn't really show it as bad. But so there's a little bit of trickery with the eye to get it right. So like I said, if I have the trunk locked in, then I know that that's one less thing that I can kind of screw up. But I will do another little video clip probably once I get a few things done. Like I said, I got to cut out this bulkhead. It's getting cut out 1/4 inch because that's such a structural part of the boat. The rest of the house is all 1/8 inch. Keep it light so it's not rolly. But anyways, that's where I'm at. Take a little more video at some point. Oh, just putting the fuel tank together for it. Supposed to be, says like 54 gallons, but I don't see it. But whatever, that's what the fuel tank calculator says. Even so, if it is 55 gallons with the baffles and all that crap, it's probably a 50-gallon tank. But I don't know. I mean, it's deceivingly big. It's hard to show you how big it is. But anyways, 24, 12. On the other end, in the middle is 14. That's 9. It's 10.5 on that corner. So from the average that I took to make it a rectangle tank, it says 50 gallons, 55 gallons. Anyways, boat's coming along. Pulled everything back out of it. Got the house all cut out. I haven't cut the windows out yet because he ordered is going to order a window for it, an opening window for where you steer. And I don't know where they're taking their measurement on the radius for the corners, because they say it's a 3-inch radius, but is that 3-inch on the inside of the black, like right here, or the outside of the black? And makes a big difference. I want all the windows to match. So anyways, I just got all the bulkheads stitched in. The main bulkhead's welded in fully. Blah blah blah. I unbolted the bow buck, what I use to bend the rails and hold the shape until I get the bulkheads in. So that needs to come back out, and then I need to cut out and weld up a crash bulkhead. And then let's see. Oh, well, yeah. So once the fuel tank is welded up and finished and installed, I can put all the deck stringers in and weld those in. Oh, no, shoot. I got to put the longitudinal pieces in each pocket. So these longitudinals, the center big ones, are continuous. And then the bulkheads are split and welded, both sides. And then the outer ones, it's the opposite. So this piece of bulkhead is obviously full continuous. And then the individuals in between will be, 4 foot, 4 foot, 4 foot, 4 foot. So he should have about 12 feet of deck space, because the winter back stops right on that corner right there. Ooh, right on that corner. So it makes the house about 4 feet wide, or long, and then, full width of the boat. I think he wants fold down pieces that fold down, or a zipper system or something. But yeah, so once those longitudinal pieces are in, I can cut the slots in them like those. Put the deck stringers in, weld those in. Clean everything up. Oh, I gotta run one more chunk of PVC. I'm waiting for an elbow, a long radius elbow, so that the pipe comes back through that hole, and then in that spot right there, it goes into the lazarette, which is, I think, where the batteries are going to be, and some other systems. And then most of the wiring and throttle and shifter controls will go back through into the swim platform / outboard extension bracket, and then the outboard will be about 2 feet back. Solid 3/8 from where the outboard mounts through the hull, and then it tapers down to the gets all tied in there. And then I think I'm gonna run some 1/4-inch pieces up to the rail to kind of support that and help make it probably doesn't need it. He's only putting a 150 on it. But if he ever decides to put a 300 on it or something, or one of those new 450 Mark motors or whatever, who knows? I'd rather it was plenty strong and it didn't ever have to worry about it. So, yeah. Got the last of the longitudinal stringers welded in. They're the outside ones. Those. And now, as you can see, I have to cut out those slots. I still need to measure the bottom of them so that so they look like the middle longitudinal, so that the deck stringers can sit down in them. But yeah, I'll do that tomorrow, and then I need to go around and clean up a bunch. I need to vacuum and wipe soot off and kind of wire brush the welds just to clean them up. Pretty sure that other than that, oh yeah, I messed up. I should have tack welded the outside of that stringer before I welded the 4 spots where it meets, because as you can see, it bent down a little bit right here. So I am either going to try to jack it up. I mean, it's only like 3/16 of an inch. It's really not much, but it'd be enough to make a dip in the deck, and that's not suitable or kosher, whatever you want to say. So I got to take care of that in the morning. I think the other side did it too, but I don't think it's as bad. I think it's only like 1/8 of an inch. So I got to deal with that. Not a big deal. And then the rest of them, obviously, I'm going to just tack them and put the end pieces on before I fully weld them. And that should hold it in place. But I'm really happy with how the stringers came out. They got super warped and weird while I was welding them, but once everything cooled down and kind of tightened up, they straightened out quite a bit. Just a couple small hammer blows here and there to get them where I wanted them, and came right out of it. So also, when I put the deck stringers in, I snap a line down them and on top of them, and then I line up each piece with it so that no matter what, they kind of straighten out. But it's just nice to know that everything's staying where I want it to and all that. I wish I had multiples of these to build, because I think you can keep the bottom a lot flatter, the bottom panels, if you start by building this whole frame kind of as a jig upside down, and then laying the sheets on it and tacking everything all together before anything gets fully welded. I try to do that as much as I can this way, but I know that it would keep it more smooth and concentric if I started with a jig like that, upside down, like a lot of the big shops do. I use a wooden jig, as you can see, and I mean, it works great. It is what it is, and the bottoms aren't very bad at all. You'll see when I flip it over to do all the bottom welding, I TIG weld all the outer seams. So I go around and I back gouge them to clean them, and then I TIG weld the whole works. It takes a little while, but man, you know that the weld is 100% sound. You've got 100% penetration, and it's much better. Anything else I add, I haven't decided if I'm going to put any in between the chine and keel lifting rails on this. If I do, it would be maybe just one set halfway, you know, between the keel and the chine up in the front to kind of help support the weight of the house as it's underway. You know, this is the first one I've done with the cabin this far forward, and it really is far forward. Like I said, I would normally have it 2 feet farther back, at least a foot farther back. So, you know, try to deal with that. Granted, the outboard's going to be on a bracket, and you know that'll be a ways back. But he doesn't have a very big outboard for it. It's a 2007 150 Yamaha 4-stroke. So it's not like it's extremely heavy. It's a pretty stout motor. I think they must be around, 700 pounds, I would think. 700, 600 pounds. I don't know. I'll have to weigh it. But anyways, just a quick update. Fuel tank's done. Yeah. That's all done. Just needs, I'm waiting on a aluminum 90-degree elbow that goes to 3/8. And yeah. I did have to beat the crap out of it a little bit right there to get it to sit flat for this, but no biggie. Ain't gonna hurt nothing. Out of sight, out of mind anyways. The top is 1/8 inch, the rest of it's all quarter. Welded inside all the way up to here, and then yeah, the top is only welded on the outside, but you know, fuel's not directly against that all the time. So, and I pressure tested it. Pressure tested great. The only leak I had was a little bit right around this, and that's because I haven't gooped this yet. This is just kind of in. Needs to come back out, and then I'll put the clear goop. Comes in the yellow tube. That's the only thing I've found that really works on fuel tanks and doesn't degrade. It stays perfect. I've used it on tons of fuel tanks and I've never had a problem with it. So, and it's really good for sealing around these screws. I'll even come back along and put a dot on top of each one to cap it, to keep water from sitting in there and help try to keep it from corroding from the stainless to the aluminum. So, works pretty good. Anyways, that's probably it for this video. I'm gonna post it. It's getting kind of long. You know, I'll start making another clip video when I am framing the house together. I've got all the pieces cut out back there. Everything's ready to go. So when I start putting that together, I'll take some more video. See you later.